Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Stevens, here with Keep Indiana Learning as one of their innovation coaches, ready to host another episode about being your very best troublemaker self. And what is being a troublemaker without a partner in crime? I'd love to introduce my good friend and very favorite troublemaker, Paul Shircliff from Bloomington, Indiana, who is with the Uplands Maker Mobile. Welcome, Paul.
Hi, Amy. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, always. It is so much fun to have this conversation with you. And I've started off a couple of our episodes, with a similar sentiment of just how joyful it is to talk about being a maker and making in any classroom, in any school. And then to continue this conversation based upon feedback from our audience. And one thing that comes up frequently, and I always kind of giggle a little bit when people ask me to come see my space, and I'll share with you, I've got a finger up to remind myself to share with you why, is because storage and organization is a thing. And it's not everybody's thing, but it is super, valuable. And it is really lovely to talk about when thinking about having a makerspace or integrating a makerspace into your classroom or building. And so if you are looking to start from scratch or to transform your classroom makerspace or maybe your building space, we are here to lead a conversation just to kind of reflect a little bit on planning and storage and organization systems that may or may not work for us and what we've seen, and possibly talk about some challenges that we've encountered as well as this conversation goes on. And so, Paul, I know I'm in an elementary right now, and you are at a major college and university. So it's kind of funny to see how storage and organization can still be a conversation in both environments.
Storage and organization is the number one issue for every learning space, even if it's not a makerspace. But makerspaces it's more, or if you're doing project-based learning and maker kind of learning, it is a big issue because, first of all, you have materials.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have some way to keep them, to organize them. And you can't have every material because there's too many materials out there. So hopefully you can have them scattered around your building and get them when you need them. But also you're going to have projects in progress that you need some way to put them, somewhere to put them. I did a long-term sub job at a school for physics. And the school hadn't changed in 40 years. I was like, you don't do any projects. They're like, yeah, we don't have anywhere to put them. Like, well, that's a problem. You don't do projects just because there's nowhere to put them. So
it is. And, I was laughing when, like the end of the school year, and maybe this is just an elementary thing, but many teachers do a little bit of a clean out. And so you start to see some bookshelves and some pieces of furniture and some carts and so forth just kind of magically appear in the hall with a lovely little sign that says free. And, one of the things that I know you love to do, and I love that this is one of your, kind of getting to know you as you mentor and lead not only teachers, but buildings in becoming the best type of maker. You love to open up all the drawers, the closets, go on a little field trip in the space, and share with us a little bit more about why that's one of the first things that you love to do and the benefit of it.
You need to go on a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
I've found that so many teachers have no idea what's in the building.
Yeah.
Because they're in their room and they're afraid to go into someone else's room because you're invading their space. So you need admin and teachers to open up that and give you permission kind of, but you need to go see what's there. that you can't have every tool, you can't have every material in your room.
Right.
What would be great is if you would have this set of materials, and then your neighbor would have this set of materials, and you just kind of switch and swap. But there's so many things in your school already that you don't know is there that you
Yeah.
can utilize into something. So you really need to open up cabinets. Someone I talked with had been in a room for 15 years and had never opened up a couple of the cabinets.
Oh, wow. I wonder what gems were in there.
How can you be in the room for that long and not open the cabinet? I mean, that let alone get rid of stuff or use stuff. They hadn't even opened the cabinet. A couple of them. I was like, wow, that's just. And we all keep stuff. We all hoard stuff.
Yeah.
And that you gotta work on that a little bit. And I was not, as a maker, I'm not good with that. I'm the kind of, like, when I'm doing woodworking, I have stacks and stacks of scrap wood.
Sure.
And you see that meme showed up. I finally used that one piece of wood from 15 years ago that I've been saving because it would be good for a project. It's just, but you need stuff. I had a janitor ask me, why do you have 2 totes full of styrofoam cups? Because they're different sizes and you never know when we'll need them. They're like, what?
I love that you just said that, because my husband actually was a student at the school that I teach at. And so many years ago, one of his summer opportunities / jobs was to work on the school grounds with our custodial maintenance crew. And he said frequently, like, there isn't an inch of that building that I don't know. And that got me thinking, I'm already really tight with our custodial staff. I wonder, could they take me on a little scavenger hunt? Oh my goodness, you would not believe some of the cool things that I found and some of the nooks and crannies. It also, this is related, but a fun, like, little side note. I found some neat ways, some creative ways of using space, and then some engineering, like, designs that I actually brought my students to see. Because, like, for example, like, under our stage, we have these, like, little half doors that open up with these long carts that house all the chairs and all the 6-foot tables for our building. And I bet we've got like 700 chairs stored under there. And it's this intricate working, right? So I was like, oh, boys and girls, like, you have got to come see this design and the way that things can be creatively stored and organized. But I apologize for kind of going off on a tangent, but it was just so neat. I wouldn't have known that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good learning tool for the kids. See what's happening here already, and then if it's really bad, then it's like, how would you fix it?
Right. No, absolutely. Something that came up when it comes to going on that little scavenger hunt and considering your space is that we do have many teachers that probably are listening who are not just in one classroom, who are not just in one building, but are, they're in many buildings. And when I introduced you, I used, I introduced you along with the fact that you are in charge of the Uplands Maker Mobile. And I thought, oh my goodness, I actually told one of my friends that's in between 3 buildings. I was like, we got to get you a van. But you had come up with some really great mobile storage ideas. And I was hoping that maybe you could talk a little bit about not only the van, but then we can show our audience a little bit of those mobile storage. There's like a little moving briefcase, some totes, just some things that I've actually shared with some of my friends that are STEM teachers in other districts who are in between classrooms, or they're in one building, but they're on a cart, which was me a couple years ago.
And you need stuff to teach with.
You do.
So where do you put it? How do you carry it? Totes are a really important thing to buy. Clear totes are very important to buy.
Okay.
Because you want to be able to just easily see what's in them. Not only do you want to also label the totes, but you want to be able to see what's in there to know how much stuff. So that's why you want to do clear. You also want ones that have a good latching lid, so it doesn't just randomly pop open. I mean, it's great to buy those $1 shoebox size totes at Walmart, but that lid, if you drop that, that lid's gonna just
Or if
pop
you
right
just
open.
hold it by the top,
Yeah,
the
you got
bottom
to
part will
hold it
drop.
by the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
So you get the nice latching ones. There's all sorts of different sizes. Find the sizes. There's like a shoebox size, which is I think 6 quart, and then there's a 15 quart, and then there's like a 27 quart, and those are the nice 3 sizes for those. But then how do you get all that stuff around? Well, a rolling cart with shelves is always nice.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of those for the van that I just put all sorts of totes in them and switch out when I need to go, have different projects at different schools. But that's also good for a school to roll around your school. Like you said, teachers on carts. That's a good thing for like a 3D printer station.
Oh, yeah.
3D printers could go inside. All the tools and filament could go inside, and then pull it out, put it on top, or a Cricut station for Cricut vinyl cutter. That could be you could be a makerspace on cart in a cart kind of thing. That Husky thing up top is a really cool thing I found at Home Depot years ago, and I can't find them anymore. I could fit like 14 shoebox sized totes in that. It would fit in the trunk of my car. It could fit in the back seat of my car.
Wow.
It's got wheels. It's got that big arm, and that was a good thing. I was glad I found that in that size. I could fill it and wouldn't be too heavy.
Something that to consider when we are considering storage opportunities is that like student traffic patterns and workflow. And so, something that I have in my classroom, I've got those gigantic silver multi-shelf rolling racks.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there they are. And I have them organized by grade level. And here's my thinking on it is, and this is why I have my finger up, is because the way that I do it is not perfect, but it just works for me. And so I want to encourage people, yes, consider your students, consider their workflow, but also consider you yourself and how you work. And I just needed like grade level landing zones. And so one of these rolling racks here, I can fit not only projects in progress, but I can fit materials that I'm using with that the students are working with. I can obviously put the storage totes on there. I've even been known with some of my materials I just reuse those heavy duty boxes and just take a Sharpie to the outside and, just say like construction paper or pipe cleaners. And as long as it's labeled, at least I know what it is. Is it perfect? No, but it works for me. And I'm not going to the store and buying new totes and so forth. It's also on wheels. So it is mobile. And one of the things that I did, you got to help me with the family night. I just wheeled one of those racks out and voila, projects in progress are on display.
Yep. Being portable is very important. I with a school, and they're like out of space. I was like, well, just buy a couple of other rolling racks and just put them side by side in the corner, and just pull out the one you need when you need it. Because you didn't have room to like line all the walls with them. Just stack them up. They're on wheels. Just move out the ones you move and get the ones you need.
That's exactly what I do. Yeah.
And what one school promotes is like with the bins or the totes. They're more with the bins, like in the middle. A red dot, yellow dot, green dot.
Okay.
And green dot means you can go use it without asking permission.
Okay.
Yellow dot is ask permission. And then a red dot material or tool is I need to be with you.
I love that.
Kids know by that color code what they're allowed to do, what stuff they could go just grab and use, and what stuff they have to let the teacher know, and what stuff they have to have supervision.
Oh my goodness. And I love that the teacher that implemented that was thinking about, not only their students, but also safety. And so, my classroom is a specials classroom. So I have the absolute just blessing of having all the students in the building come through my room. And I fully recognize that not everybody has the most incredible day. And so I have to be mindful of these tall racks that I have and, ensuring that they don't provide a space for a student to hide or to hurt themselves, right? And then with that being said, too, like you were just saying with the materials, making sure that a kindergartner isn't just having free access to maybe something that a fifth grader or a high school student has access to. And so, it is really helpful. One of the things that I did is I brought in the grade level teachers and was like, hey, will you help me see my classroom through the eyes of your students? And at one point we even like sat down on the carpet like we were, students, and looked around and thought, okay, what can I reach? What can I touch? What is with what's in the zone that can be used now and could potentially maybe not be well suited for all ages at all times. One of the things that I had to do quickly in this classroom that I'm in was use the wall space. I had to go up because there just wasn't a whole lot of real estate square footage wise, right? And so, again, implementing the help of my custodial crew, they really helped me get some shelves, anchored in my my Lego wall. I'm not sure. I think I can show you. I don't want to make our audience like sick here, but just, here I use this space on the wall where we can go up, and then it lend itself to a little bit more creativity because most of my kiddos hadn't created on that wall. So it could be a creation space too, in addition to storage.
Right. One thing, couple things to remember.
Yeah.
There is no one storage solution that works for everybody.
Yes.
You've got to find yours in your space, in your building. So that's important. See all the examples out in the world. Google makerspace storage, Google PBL storage, see the pictures, see what's there, see the options. The other thing, out of sight is out of mind.
Oh, true.
If things are not in the open, a kid does not know it exists. They might have just used that thing, that material, that tool yesterday. But if it's in a closet, closed door, they have no idea it exists. It's not in the front of their mind. So that's important. That's one reason for the clear and one reason for the labels, but it's also, you got to get things out of closets and out in the room, but you also have to be careful of safety with having some things accessible to everybody. Like knives would not be a great thing for, K123s to have out.
Right.
But yeah, out of sight, out of mind. If you've got tools and materials stuffed away in a cabinet in a closet, they don't know it's there. They don't know they can use it.
Well, some best practices that, when I was just kind of thinking through this was, I thought, okay, what could I share with our audience that might just be like, okay, I'm going to organize some of my makerspace stuff. I'm going to store it. What are some best practices? So I love that you said, definitely consider safety. Definitely consider, putting things on wheels or, going up the wall, using height to your advantage. Definitely making sure that things are labeled and that it's out of, it is in sight, not out of sight, excuse me. Something that I've seen in some other classrooms are like a checkout, check-in system, just much like the library, especially because some of our media centers are turning into a full-on media space. So not just books, which I love. I love that books are staying and are being preserved in these spaces, and they're being lifted by these creative spaces as well. But also to have like a little inventory management, kind of just know what you really like to have on hand all the time? Like, do you love to have toilet paper rolls on hand all the time? Do you love to have like, I know I love to have cardboard on hand all the time. And I know that my inventory is every August when my supplies come, I have instant cardboard. Making sure that there's responsibility roles for the organization by the students. So it's very possible that you have students in your building that would love to be a helper in making sure that you know what you have, you know where it is, and that you know that it's organized. And then they're your best little business card. They'll go out and tell everybody, like, hey, do you know Mrs. Stevens has, like a mountain of bubble wrap in her office? Like, you should go play in there.
Something I forgot to mention with the labels, not just words, but also pictures. We are very visual people. But also that's a great time to get some world languages in there.
Yes. I love that.
You put up in different languages, what the things are. Again, learning happens in little pieces and casual ways. I mean, you throw some Spanish, French, German, Latin, whatever with your labels, that kids are going to start picking that up and learning that. I mean, that's really just a nice learning thing.
Oh, I'm so glad that you said that, because I was also thinking, like, being mindful of our friends that are colorblind, or that possibly with the rolling racks, we were talking about making sure they were tight together. But if you've got bookshelves and if you've got tables, making sure you're keeping in mind the ADA compliance, so that any of our friends, I sadly just had a student that is now in a wheelchair due to a broken leg. And they were like, Mrs. Stevens, like, how am I going to use the Lego wall? And I was like, oh no, we got you. Like, don't you worry. Like, we got you. This is, we will engineer this, no problem. But just, making sure we're thinking about safety and accessibility. Something too that I know, cleanliness, dust, regular maintenance of those. I know that can sometimes not necessarily be as important, but it can be a safety thing too, in making sure that we are keeping our spaces clean and have a procedure and a routine for that. I know that since you came to visit my building, one of the things that it's been really fun is to have different departments come into different classrooms to check out their space. And, in previous episodes, we've talked about this as a definite bonus for planning and for strategizing together. But it's also very important for storage and organization, because whether or not we're talking about our maker spaces, it is so lovely to see how a math teacher or a science teacher or an ELA teacher or a world language teacher stores and organizes their things. We can always learn from anybody and everyone.
Right. And you can't have everything in your room that you would ever need sometimes.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Having stuff, different teachers having different things is good, but you also need to know about it. So if you're out of pipe cleaners, who else has pipe cleaners in the building?
I love it. Well, I feel like, this session has brought me lots of joy as we talk about the storage and space. And so I want to make sure, as we leave our audience with just some ideas and some images and just some wonderings of, if you were going to either start from scratch or go and transform your space or your building, what are some things, what are some tips, what are some tricks, what are some safety considerations? What are some accessibility considerations to keep in mind as you are making these spaces not only usable, but just come to life? And of course, display the awesome work that is being, created and in either in progress or maybe at a I call it like an almost finished spot, because are we ever finished? Because we could usually go back and keep working on it. So, oh my gosh, as always, Paul, it's so wonderful to have you and to just talk about being a maker and developing and creating maker spaces that just seem to just to just naturally be, just naturally exist. And I'm so grateful for the opportunities and for your time as always. We hope that some more episodes that we've got coming your way are intriguing to you and that you tune in to listen. We'll be talking about learning and how it can be messy. We'll be talking about making sure that being a troublemaker can happen in any subject, across the departments, the grade levels, and so forth. And so we just hope that as you listen, that you continue to share with us, how are you storing? How are you organizing? How are you being your very best troublemaker self? And who are your troublemaker partners? And Paul, as always, thanks for being my troublemaker partner, and just so grateful for our audience today and for all of the learning that happens in Indiana. So thank you, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.